What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming back at you tonight to do a quick overview of a recent lake breakdown that we just did, and that's Lake Murray out in South Carolina. This one took me literally about 2 months to break down. Lots of blood, sweat, and tears went into it, but it's done. And so I wanted to definitely introduce it to you guys, let you guys know that it's out there. I know most of the subscribers out here are from Texas, but we're gaining in different types of the states. And you guys out in South Carolina, I think you're going to love this one. Let's go. Bye. All right, let's go ahead and jump in here to Lake Hartwell. And the first thing I want to do is really just kind of show you the lake breakdown that we have here. And then we're going to jump over and talk about kind of areas that we could fish based on what Robert had sent over to me. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. First off, this is Lake Hartwell at a very high level. These are all the different markers we put out here for Hartwell. Took us a really long time to do this lake for sure, but I was very satisfied with what we had at the end. So you're gonna see here, we've got a lot of different stuff out here. We've separated Hartwell out. It's the same way out on the website. What we've done is we've done little sections. So here you can see this is south of Sadler's Creek. So if you go up here, you see where Sadler's Creek is. It's everything south of Sadler's Creek. Then we have south of 85, but north of Sadler. So here's Sadler's, and this would be south of 85, but north of Sadler. So you can see it's this whole area right in here. That is a huge, ginormous area. Then we also have west of 85. So this is anything west, kind of northwest of 85. We've also got the area between Cherry and 85. And then finally, we've got the area north of Cherry that's up here. So as you can see, as you know, probably if you're local to this lake, this thing is massive. So it took us a long time to get it done, but super happy to have it out there. So before we jump into too much, I'm not gonna go in and do a full lake breakdown because obviously that would take me months and months to do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, we're gonna look at this thing from the breakdown perspective, and then we're just gonna talk about the areas that I would fish within the next few weeks. So Robert had asked me to go out and look and give him some tips maybe on what we had found and what I would maybe look at for this time of year. So let's start off first by just looking at what we have that's over here. And we'll start off just with all of it, I guess. I'll just expand these out on the left-hand side so you can see what we have. And then let's just uncheck everything except for south of Sadler's. We'll just use that right now for our examples so you can see what we have. So we've got channels and ditches. Now that's going to be anything out here that has the little green tracks. So see all these little green tracks? If you look at them really closely, they line up perfectly with where the creek channels or the ditches are that are out here. So you can see exactly where your creek channels or your ditches might be in those areas. We also have offshore hotspots. These offshore hotspots really can be flats, they can be ledges, they can be humps, they can be hard spots, just several different things that they can be. And what we've done is we've actually gone through, now some of this stuff we can see with Google Earth, and then the rest of it, what we do is we use the Navionics mobile app to look at the contours on this lake and to really point out the key areas based on the contours of the lake of where we feel like should be key fishing spots to go look at. So you can see that we've marked all of those out there for you as well. We've got ramps and slabs galore on this lake for sure, definitely. And you're probably wondering, why would you mark all of those ramps? Well, we talk about it a lot on our lake breakdowns, but that ramp pattern, that fishing, the boat ramp patterns, it can be a very effective pattern. So it's always good to know where those are. It's always good to know, also always good to know where those are in the case of emergency or if you need, some kind of help or something like that. We've also got rock, and as you know, if you're a bass fisherman, rock is really key. And this lake has scattered rock around. Some of it's riprap, some of it's natural rock, some of it's some hard spots. So you got a lot of good variety on this lake. So we've marked those areas for you. And then last but not least, we have the structure and cover. That's going to be things like those ledges, brush, lay down, debris. You might have some stick ups out there that are as well. We see some stumps that are out here. Pretty much everything that we could find, we put out there on Google Earth. So that is really the whole entire breakdown. Now let's go back and let's just look at Robert's question here. He said this is where he was going to launch at. He was going to launch at Tugaloo State Park. So this is where he was going to launch at. And he said, what would you do if you were fishing in this area? Now, Robert I believe he bought this whole section up here, And then he also bought that midsection that we talked about too, which was kind of like all the way up in here. And he said, I'm going to fish that area. Well, that's a huge, huge area. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to just, I mean, we may take a look over here, but my guess would be if I'm out here fishing, I've done some looking around on the on the internet just to kind of see what was going on with Lake Hartwell. Now, remember this, I've never fished on Lake Hartwell, so what I'm giving you is just knowledge that I've gained over just, fishing myself and fishing different lakes, fishing in Missouri, fishing in Texas, Louisiana, stuff like that. So let's take a look at this and then let's see where we would fish. So first off, we got this section right here. So I guess I need to bring this view back up, bring this sidebar back up, and let's see where this is at. Should be south of 85, north of Sadler's. We'll probably keep that on for right now. And then we're gonna do west of 85. Now, for me, if the water temperature says it's 57 degrees right now, I'm thinking that's total pre-spawn time. You may have some that have gone up and spawned, but definitely pre-spawn time. So you're gonna be looking at things like secondary points, different areas where they're gonna stop at. And you're also gonna wanna try to find the warmest water you can on the lake. So any of these banks that are facing towards the north, or the cove faces towards the north, the bank actually faces towards the south, but the sun hits the lake really well. The southern sun, the southern winds will hit it, but in the northern winds it's totally protected by. That's usually going to be your warmer pockets, and a lot of times you just got to go take a look. Also, if you find clear water, that's going to be a little bit cooler. This lake looks to be fairly clear, and if the dirtier water you can find up in the creeks and stuff like that, that's going to warm up a little quicker, unless you just had a really cold rain, and that just jacks everything up. So we're just going to say for now, I went and looked at your lake levels. It looked like it was at 661, which is 4 feet below its highest level. So my guess is the lake's pretty full right now. Unfortunately, when I look down here and just look at the bank line, of course, I don't know what year this is, 2024. So the water's actually pretty far down in this image. But notice on the bank line, there's not a ton of laydowns and stuff like that. I mean, let's go ahead and let's select all these things that are out here. There's not a lot of shallow stuff. There's a little bit of stuff here and there, but not a lot. So let's go ahead and just look at this. We're going to pretend that we're out here fishing with Robert, and this is where we're going to launch from, Tougaloo State Park. So we're going to launch at Tougaloo, and the first thing I'm going to do if I'm breaking down this lake or if I'm preparing for a tournament is, like I said, I'm thinking about the warmer water. I'm thinking about the dirtier water. I might go out to my Omni app and look at the water temperatures and see where the warmer water is. If I don't have the ability to do that, I'm just going to go on just basic knowledge of just common science of where the warmer water should be. So technically the warmer water should probably going to be more towards your northern end of your lakes typically. But again, I mean, it could change. You could have some of these arms that might warm up really, really fast too. But a lot of times if you can just find, especially those pockets that face the north, those are going to warm up the fastest. And then of course on some smaller lakes, the northern side usually warms up quicker than the southern side down by the dam. But that's not always true. So with all of that being said, we're going to launch here. I'm going to look for the quickest, easiest place to fish, right? To start off with, if we're fishing in a tournament. I know that we're going to need to get in the backs of some of these creeks for sure. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and probably unselect everything here on the left side. And I'm just looking for those green lines. I've got a creek that's out here. I've got another creek that's up in here. I've got one here, and I've got one here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, back to this creek. I'm just going to kind of, study it. Obviously it changes. You can see that the creek channel changes. Back in 2012, I think it was, that line was perfectly on that creek channel. It looks like it's changed a little bit. You can see here, 2017, the water's way down. But there's your creek channel. So they're going to be somewhere in this vicinity, right? Because that's just what they do. And this is probably going to be, you're going to have a little more oxygen back in here. It looks like the water's a little bit dirtier back in here too, which could definitely help you, especially if you had some really good cover, which unfortunately you don't have a ton of cover that's back in this area. At least that's not what we're seeing. Even if I selected everything here, I think the only spot I wanted you to check was just kind of out in here. But I would for sure in tournament day come check out right here. anywhere alongside this road right in here. I know you're thinking, man, that's totally obvious, but I mean, that's the first spot that they can stop and kind of hang out before they come back in here and do their spawning and stuff like that. And it gives them pretty quick access to get out here to the deep stuff. So definitely looking in there. As I move on up, just kind of coming through here, let's just see if there's anything else that would be kind of worthy of taking a look at. You might want to look at this little ramp that's over here. I don't know if we have them selected or not, but notice this little ramp's got this rock. I could see them hanging around in this little area for sure. Moving on up. This could be a nice area too, right? Looks like you got a little creek that comes back here maybe, or at least a little ditch that's back there. There's some debris that's back here. They could hang around this debris that's in here. I don't know if I've got the right thing selected or not. Then also this out here, I really like this. I could see them setting up here for sure before you know, pre-spawn and post-spawn, just coming out before they go up in there and coming out as they come back. This could be a really good staging area. I would definitely take a look at that spot that's right there. That's going to be that offshore spot. Here's where you launch from. You're just going to come back here, and it's going to be that first one right there. So I'm thinking, for me, so far, if I launched here, I'm looking here, and I'm looking here, and I'll try to speed up or we're going to be here all night, but definitely those two spots. We're going to keep moving. I'm going to check out this point too. That could be a really good stopping spot for them. Notice how it has a nice little hard spot on it. Definitely going to be a spot I'm going to take a look at. I'm going to move on down. Now again, if it's totally flooded and the water's, of course not again, I haven't even said this, but if the water's totally flooded, like I'm talking up on the bank and you've got tree stumps and stuff in the water, you're going to need to go get up super tight to the bank and fish it that way. But I'm assuming that the water is not all the way up, and so we're kind of having to fish kind of similar to what we're seeing here, maybe not this low, but similar to it. So I'm going to keep moving on, see if I see anything else out in here that looks worthy to take a look at. Maybe this point here, I like these, you know, it's got these nice north facing pockets. You got one here, you got one up here. This point could be good. The problem with these points, even though they look good from an offshore standpoint, is there's just, you got to find some kind of cover on them of some sort. Maybe there could be some shell on it or something like that, but look at this point because it sets up perfectly before, you know, you would go into one of these spawning pockets. So definitely right in there I would look. Maybe right in here, looks like there might be a ledge or something right in here too. You might want to look at that. And then coming out here, I didn't really like this side as well. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't like it, but there wasn't as much stuff on here that that really popped out to me. I do like this offshore point right here. I definitely like this offshore point that's right in here. It's got some rock that you could fish around the point there. And then even here, you know, this could be a good little point too. It's got a little bit of rock around it. Not a ton, just a little bit, but just enough to let them kind of relate to it. And then obviously it looks like you might have a little creek or something that comes back through there. Then I'm going to move on up. We're going to keep on moving on out. Let's see what this hump's got some junk on it. Not too much there. Move on. All right, so I think that's going to be it for that area. So I didn't point out too much, but remember we talked about it. We talked about hitting this area back in here, or hitting this area right in here, where the bridges are. I also skipped this spot. I should have told you this, but even though this is kind of pre-spawn, post-spawn, still just good areas, check out these docks in here where this creek channel swing is, right there, and maybe even those, but definitely those, that little bundle right in there. All right, and then let's keep going. And then we talked about those, the rock right there, really like this spot right here. And then of course, also talked about some of this other offshore stuff that's down in here, but now let's go up. Let's say we pretend to come out here off launch, and then we're going to go up and we're going to go north. And let's go up again. Since we don't have a ton of time, we're going to focus on the ones that have the big creeks in them, right? The big creeks usually lead us to some flats and stuff like that. So we're going to go into this one right here. So let's pull back real quick. I know I'm zooming all over the place. We're going to zoom over here. Let's see if I can take this view off now. So we're just going to look at everything. All right. Now we're back in action. We launched right here. We're going to come up. We're going to find the first creek. That's going to be this one up here. So we're going to come up and we're going to get up here to this creek and we're going to take a look around and see what's in this creek. So we come into the creek, maybe a little slab there. You might be able to catch them on that little boat ramp pattern going on right there. Isn't a nice little, opening to a cove back here. So that's interesting. And there's also something else as far as that point that could be a good point to fish. There's also something else going on maybe right in here that you could check out. Not sure what that is, like an old road maybe or something like that. Now as we pull in here, definitely look around in this area where this little creek channel comes out, or maybe it's a ditch, but it looks like it makes like a little creek channel swing, so I called it a C-swing. Also notice over here there's some stuff in the water, looks like that we even missed. So you've got some debris here, some more debris here. These are good places for them to stop and hang out at. So definitely good little areas. You got a nice little ditch that's back in here too. Right there, you've got some lay down, some brush, and here's that creek that's coming in. You even got some kayakers back there from 2017. But definitely this area, I like this area a lot. I like those two spots too. I wish I had those two spots marked. I don't know how we missed them, but I definitely look at those spots and this point too, and the slab. So just look at this whole area right in here. Now let's pull out of there and let's go up here. Maybe while you're coming up here, maybe check out this hump, this little offshore area here, just see if anything's setting up there. And then I would probably come back in here and maybe just look around some of these laydowns and stuff. If the water's up high enough, maybe you could check those out. Or maybe fish around this little ramp that's right in here. There could be some more debris that's over in here possibly. But nothing too crazy right in there. So we'll come out of there. We talked about that. We're gonna keep going north. We're gonna force ourselves to fish north. So now we're gonna go up here. We're gonna come into this pocket. This one looks like it's got a decent little creek channel coming in. So we're gonna zoom on in, come back here, and see if there's anything back here that's worthy of taking a look at. Ooh, this is kind of a hot mess back here. So not too much there. Maybe check out a couple of those docks where that channel is close to it. But I don't know if I'd spend too much time going to that one. So let's pull back out of that one. Let's go back up and let's keep going, right? We're looking for those places that are protected by the wind, a little bit warmer water. Let's see if we got any creeks up in here. Looks like we got a couple up in here. First off, what we could do is we could go over here and take a look at this one. And that's just a really deep creek channel. So that's not helping us out much. So we're gonna go back up here. Back in here might be good from a shallow perspective, fishing back in here where it's nice and protected in this little pocket. That could definitely be good. These stumps right here, or these stick ups or whatever it is, perfect staging spot for them to set up and just hang out, ambush bait, have a good time, do all that fun stuff. So definitely right here. I mean, it looks very innocent, but that could be a perfect spot to find them right there where it shows stumps. And then while you're back there, these could be brush piles too. I'm not sure what they are, but come back here and check these out and just see what those are. I mean, they could even be Christmas trees that people have put down there, and we just can't tell what they are, but I would definitely go check them out. But I like this pocket right there. I like how that pocket sets up. It even has some offshore stuff close by as well. So really like that one. Let's go on up here a little bit further up and see if there's anything else up here. We got a couple creeks coming in through here. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, I don't see anything that really jumps out, but this is a tough lake because if you look at the bank line, there's a lot of nothing going on. Just a few laydowns here and there, and that's about it. So we'll pull out of there. We talked about that one right there, right? That's the one we like the most. Now let's go over and let's talk about just a few more before we end this video. We're gonna move on up here. You got a nice little creek coming through the trees there, but not too much going on, but good little pocket to go check out, especially if they're getting ready to spawn. Come up here, we've got some laydowns and some offshore stuff. Nothing crazy up there either. So let's keep going further north. Now we're getting into some chocolate stuff. So we're probably gonna have to be pretty careful up here. But as we get up here, I like this little area right in here. I don't know if that's debris or rock. It's kind of hard to tell, but clearly that point, a lot of stuff collects around that point. So you can check out that point. You got two giant flats that are up here with big giant creek channels in them. Both those flats can be fun to go up and fish. You can pull out a little bit further if they're not up in those flats and come out here and fish some of this stuff that's out here. This brush, these laydowns, kind of this area, staging up before they go back up in there. You got some rock that's back in here too. Right here, right there. You even got some more right in there. So let's see if we can get the water to go up. And now this is kind of probably what it's going more like what it's going to look like. Notice all that stuff's gone. Now you can't even see it. Those channels that we saw, you can't even see it. But this huge flat back here and these docks that are on these flats and this flat here, I really like this whole little area. You could spend some time up here just working around the bank and going out here, see if there's any grass out here maybe, or any type of thing hanging around those channels. Could definitely be a high percentage area. So that's probably what I'm gonna focus on. Now, obviously I would, if I had more days and more time, I would check every little spot where the creek channels were coming in. That'd be the first thing I do. And then I'd pull back and probably start looking at like points that had rock on it that were leading in to those spawning flats or the spawning bays that you have. I would definitely look at that. You know, you didn't have a lot of brush or anything like that. So the types of lures you're gonna use, you know, definitely live scope's gonna be awesome on your lake, because you know it does look like you probably just got a lot of shad chasers and things like that. So using those little minnows, you know, and just putting them on a little Demiki rig, that's gonna work really good on those points. Going out with a Carolina rig, that actually, believe it or not, will work in the spring too. So you could Carolina rig those secondary points with the rock on them. That can be successful. Spinner baits, you know, any type of cover that you're covering. Even the shaky head right now will work. I mean, there's a lot of good things that'll work for you. So hopefully these little tips have helped you out and will put you on some fish, or at least help you get started. And if you want more information on Lake Hartwell, just go out, check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. We've got the entire lake, like I showed you earlier, broken down from top to bottom with every waypoint you can possibly think of. We've broken this thing down to really let you hone in on your fishing, map it out, and figure out exactly where you want to fish. So guys, I really appreciate the time. Make sure to go check out the website, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.